just have fun and know like why you're doing it, you know? Like, you know, if you're, you know, if the original reason you wanted to do music for a living is because you enjoy making music, then like just enjoy making music, you know, and then everything after that is like is just an extra, you know, it's a blessing, you know. I think right now I have a good job and I love making music, and if I were to never ever go anywhere beyond where I'm at, and I always had to work a day job or always had to work the job I'm working and, you know, just make music for fun, then I think I would still be content because I love making music.
1, 2, yeah. Come on. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yes, sir, you are tuned in. This is for the SB1200, ASR 10s and NPC heroes. This is for the crate digging, loop getting, sound manipulators, the Fruity Loop reasoning machine innovators that pump the bass and frequently freak the kick in a stand till it slaps in your speakers. The sound providers that make sure the song is tight. Shout out to the producers, Beats Grinding Life. Shout out to the producers, Beats Grinding Life.
Welcome to the Beats Grinding Life podcast with your host Siren, a weekly interview podcast with inspiring music producers, where every week you will learn from a different music producer how to potentially take your music career to the next level.
Today's episode of Beats Grinding Life is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audio download and 30-day free trial at beatsbooks.com. Over 180,000 titles to choose from on your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Some recommended readings by past Beats Grinding Life guests like 48 Laws of Power, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, The Secret, Tools of Titans, and The Song Machine are all available with Audible. Once again, go to beatsbooks.com to get your free book. What's up, Beat Grinders? This is Siren Beats. Welcome to Beats Grinding Life, a podcast dedicated to educating, connecting, and guiding producers all around the globe. This week we have with us Egomi. Egomi is a music producer, audio engineer, and songwriter from Allen, Texas, now based out of Los Angeles, California. Egomi has been blazing the Beat Showcase circuit and has almost become legendary. The Bounce Gvng crew member has recently gained notoriety by producer fans and admiration from his peers by becoming the very first winner of the reality show House of Beats. Egomi is a winner of iStandard's Beat of the Week, and he has a placement with XXL and many more. Yo, Egomi, what's up, man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing very good.
Nice, man.
Pleasure to be on here.
Oh, man, thank you, man. It's definitely a pleasure to have you up on here, man. Like I told you before, man, I've been watching you for a minute. As creepy as that sound is not so creepy, but I've been watching. I've been checking. I've just been checking you out online and stuff, and seeing everything that you've been doing, man. And definitely, I'm a fan of all the moves that you're making. So it's definitely going to be a pleasure to have you up on here and pick your brain, man.
Man, I appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Well, all right, man. Well, I just read a brief intro on you. I introduced you to the Beat Grinders listening. And, man, I want you just to let them know something that we would never know about you.
Yeah, well, let's see. Yeah, I mean, I'm, 22 years old. I've been making music for, quite a while now. I've probably been producing about 8 years. But I've been doing, playing instruments and stuff for a lot longer than that. I've probably been playing guitar for, since like 6th, 7th grade, and I played piano before that.
Wow.
I even sang in the choir a little bit,
Nice.
For a time.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always just, I've always had music around me. My brother, he plays piano and guitar as well. My parents aren't really that musical, but I know like my grandfather is and my uncle is, and so yeah, I mean, wow. I've been doing music for a long time, and started getting into production by wanting to record guitar, and then I started singing a little bit, and I would record songs that I wrote when I was younger, and then I started messing with software and got into like making EDM stuff and sound design and hip hop and now, man, I just try to make everything I enjoy making. A little mix of everything.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I love that. It sounds like that's the way it should be. Just making exactly what you enjoy making. It sounds like you've had a long musical journey. The thing that I've found kind of interesting is that you said that you started playing the piano at a very, very young age. Usually when people start at that age, it's because their parents are somewhat into music and push them into music. But you said that was contrary for you. Your parents weren't into music. So how did you get into playing the piano and playing the guitar at such a young age? Was it just a burning desire for you, or did they just put you in piano lessons just to give you something to do?
Yeah, it was actually the latter for that one for sure. It was actually my parents wanted both my brother and I to try sports for a little bit and then try an instrument or some sort of musical thing for a little bit, even though I think my dad played sports in like college and he played a little bit a while ago, but he hasn't played sports in a while. And
right.
My mom played, I think, clarinet maybe in high school or something, but she really but I think that it was mainly just they wanted us to kind of be, I guess, well-rounded, I guess you could say,
right.
Just try different things. So yeah, and so that's why I started piano, but I didn't even really enjoy it. I played piano for maybe 3 years and I quit, because I was in elementary school and I didn't really like it that much,
right.
And
no kid really does. I mean,
exactly.
Don't hear very many that say that they like going to piano lessons.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But my brother actually, he really enjoyed piano and he continued doing piano, whereas I quit. So I quit and I then wasn't doing an instrument for maybe a couple years, and then Guitar Hero 3 inspired me to want to play guitar. So I never owned the game, but I always went over to my friend's house and we would always play. And
nice.
So then eventually I ended up getting my parents to convincing my parents to let me buy a electric guitar. I know they would probably have rather me had an acoustic, but I saved up and bought it, and I think they helped a little bit too, which was kind. And and then I fell in love with guitar, and I think that's when I first really fell in love with music, was playing guitar, because I would play for hours a day. I would just sit there and learn and learn and learn. Nice,
man.
Yeah,
so Guitar Hero got you into the guitar, and you said that you just love playing the guitar. Who were some of your idols on the guitar when you started playing?
Man, at the time, I think my biggest idol was probably this guitarist named Eric Johnson. He was just a very skilled guitar player from probably 15-20 years ago or something. But I remember I would just like study his guitar playing and try to emulate his tone and his playability and his techniques and everything. So he was a big inspiration at the time.
Okay. What was he in a band, or was he solo, or what?
He was, I think he had a band, but I'm not entirely sure. I think a lot of times he just went by Eric Johnson, like he would tour as his own name, and he had a song that was on Guitar Hero, and that's kind of how I heard of him. Nice. And then so
okay.
Funny as it sounds, that's how I got into it.
That's dope, man. That's dope. I know Guitar Hero, everyone was playing that for a minute, and I mean, whether people listen to rock music or not, as far as my friends go, man, I mean, everyone was playing Guitar Hero and just love getting on that thing.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, you said you bought some software so that you could record yourself playing the guitar. What software was that?
Yeah, so at the time when I was playing guitar, I bought this guitar pedal. It was like a multi-effects pedal, and it came with the light edition of Cubase 4.
Nice.
And just free with the pedal. And so, and I didn't even know anything about it at the time. I just knew it was some like random piece of software that came with it. But, and I would, play guitar with that guitar pedal for a long time. And then eventually I was like, man, I want to try to record, like this song. And so, I started with just like a voice recorder. Like I would just set the voice recorder on my knee and I would like play guitar and sing into it. And of course it's, pretty trashy quality.
Right.
But then eventually I remembered that my guitar pedal came with that Cubase software. And so I tried installing it, and I did, and I sat in front of it and could not figure it out for the life of me. It was just so confusing. And, I was maybe 14, 15 at the time, I would say. So then I started looking into some other softwares. I downloaded Audacity, which is like the freeware, which, so then I was recording, actually, I think I was younger than that. I think I was like 12 or 13 maybe.
Wow.
When I downloaded the Audacity and was, recording songs into Audacity. And of course there's really no like instruments or anything in the software, at least that I know of,
Yeah, it's just
and so
recording, right?
Yeah, just, straight recording. I wasn't even recording to a metronome or anything. And I just was recording songs that way, bought a cheap Radio Shack mic, it was like $30 or something, which was like a ton of money at the time, because I was young.
Right.
So I had saved up and bought that and, recorded a bunch. And then I just kept doing it and I loved it. And I started, downloading different softwares that would allow me to like program drums kind of. And they were like really not, not even good like sounds or anything. But I kept like trying to make the songs I was making better and better and better. And then eventually, I like looked back into Cubase and looked into Steinberg, which is the developer of Cubase. They had another software called Sequel, which is kind of a easier version of Cubase, which I downloaded the demo for and used quite a bit. And then eventually I was just like, I decided to save up. I was probably, I think I was 15 at the time, and I eventually just dropped the money on Cubase Artist, so not the full version, but one of the mid-sized versions, Cubase Artist 6, and then really started getting into producing. At the time, I didn't even know really what producing was, because I'd never met another producer in my life.
Right.
I didn't know that producing was a thing. I just thought it was like recording or whatever. Like I didn't have any other friends that did it, and I'd really never done much research into it, so I didn't know it was even like a thing at the time.
Right.
So I just I bought Cubase and was messing with it and recording different songs and using some of the synths on there to like figuring out how to like add drums and add other synth sounds and stuff like that. And that's kind of how I got into producing. And then looking into those synths more, I around the time it was like 2011, I think, was when I got the software, which was right before dubstep was like, it was right around the time when that was blowing up. And so I started kind of getting into that, and I was like, I got to figure out how to make this, and so I looked into a bunch of like the like massive synths and stuff like that, and eventually I saved up and bought this cheaper synth from Native Instruments called Razor, and then was just trying to learn how to make wobbles and dubstep sounds and all the growls and things like that, and that was, I feel like that was huge for me when it comes to sound design, because even though I don't make or really even listen to dubstep anymore, I mean, I think that was just a phase for me, but it really taught me how to sound design a lot. Just going through that phase, because I'd never used presets ever. I would I would, every song I would start from scratch. I'd open up this synth and I'd try to learn what every knob did, and then try to make the sounds from a blank sine wave patch or whatever to,
That's awesome.
And so I did that for, a couple years. I probably made nothing but EDM type of dance dubstep music for like 3 or 4 years. It's just like a big thing. I really wanted to be an EDM DJ and stuff like that. And, but, I feel like I kind of started growing out of that. And then, as I got older, I started getting into hip hop. I ended up interning at this hip hop record label as an engineer. And, and then at that time I was really enjoying it, just, being around all the music and all the, artists and rappers and everyone. And then, started really getting into beats. And around that time I also heard of iStandard. And so then I, started getting involved in that stuff, and, really loved everything that they were doing, and, really liked the culture, and then just started meeting people from there.
Nice.
And, that's pretty much the medium short version of the story.
Well, that's dope, man. I mean, you've gone through, sounds like, so many different kind of musical phases. You have experience playing so many different instruments, and it shows in your music. You're not one-dimensional. You're not, you're very multi-dimensional when it comes to your music. And I feel like you're pretty versatile, and you can do almost anything. And that's because you've allowed yourself to grow and go through so many phases. And I just think that's dope, man. That you have some fluidity within your music. I know for a while myself, yeah, man. I envy you. For a while, I said, okay, I'm boom bap and that's it, and I'm sticking to it at a young age. And so it took me a while to realize, that, hey, maybe I should start growing and listening to other kind of music and try to emulate some of that music that I'm listening to. So good for you, man. Kudos. It shows, man. And I think it puts you light years ahead of people that are stubborn and aren't willing to grow. So that's dope. I want to know, man, what's the closest city to Allen, Texas? I mean, what's the closest big city?
Closest big city is Dallas. So I'm right north. I was right north of Dallas.
Okay. And so at that studio that you interned, was that in Dallas, or was it in Allen, or something?
That was actually in Atlanta, actually.
Oh,
so
okay.
I moved to Atlanta for a period of time, for about a semester during college.
Oh, okay.
And, so I, and that was a huge pivotal moment in my life, for sure, because, that was the first time I really did anything, I would say, with music, because other than that, it was just, in my house, I was making songs and throwing them up on YouTube and stuff like that, but I wasn't really getting out of the house. I'd never, was actually never meeting people or anything, So
dope. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, I'm loving your story so far, man, and everything that you told us thus far, it seems to be inspiring, seems to be motivating, but we're about to change all of that right now, because this is the moment where we talk about the setbacks and the failures. And so I want you to tell me, man, what's a failure or a setback that you've had in your career that you were able to bounce back from? That way, maybe there might be a beat grinder that's listening now that's going through the same thing that you went through, and maybe your story might be able to help them out.
Yeah, man, I think the hardest thing was actually coming back from that internship. Because I had moved out to Atlanta. It was beginning of 2016, so it was, I would say, 3.5 years ago.
Specifically for music?
Specifically for music, yep. Okay. It was an opportunity to engineer at this record label that I had listened to the artists from the label for years before then, and they were like, I was big fans of it and everything, and so then all of a sudden, they put up an internship thing, and I guess a bunch of people submitted, and they picked one person to be the engineer intern, and it ended up being me. And so I was, practically living my dream, I would say, because I was like, I'd listened to these artists, and now I'm engineering for them, and so it was a wild thing, because I was, they were some of my favorite artists and everything, and I then I was out there just like doing it, and so that was amazing. But where the setback came in was, that they didn't end up needing another engineer. They just, they have interns that come and go. And so, at the time they had actually just hired another engineer. One of the interns actually right before I got there, he got hired, and which is dope. And, he and I are great friends. We actually make music together and everything. But I didn't end up getting hired or anything like that, which was fine. But, I ended up coming back home, and it was like after the internship, it was like living out my dream and like working in music. And then I came back home, back to Allen, Texas, back to moving back in with my parents, going back to college. And it was like it was very, very hard because I didn't know what to do. Like, I didn't know how to leverage like any of the relationships I'd built. I didn't know how to, get my name back out there or anything. And honestly, for the next practically year, I didn't do it like anything. Like, I mean, I was making music at home, but like I wasn't sure how to get my name out there, and it wasn't until beginning of 2017 that I heard about iStandard. So that was like a year later. Nice. And so I think, and I would say it was, as much of a setback as it was a huge blessing, of course, to be able to do that internship. Right. But I think it was just like a, slap in the face back to reality when I came back home, because, then I all of a sudden was back to where I was before I did the internship, having, little to no relationships, being back in my room. Also the internship was a very pivotal, like, not just musical like journey for me, but like life experience. Like, I just learned a lot and I grew a lot. I really changed as a person through it. And so then coming back was just really hard on so many levels. And it was, even though it wasn't like a huge setback, it was just like a very, mentally and like emotionally, I'm trying to think of the correct word, but it was just like, it was very, it was just hard to get like back on my feet almost per se, because
a couple of other producers spoke on this as well. That has to be tough. Is it possible that you can share the label or the artist that you were working with?
Yeah. At the time I was working with this, I interned at this label called Reach Records, which they're like a Christian music label, but they do like Christian hip hop and whatever. Like one of the artists is Lecrae. He's pretty famous or pretty big. And at the time, I grew up, I guess, like, part of my story is I was, raised pretty like religious and like stuff like that. And I've my whole life experience, like I pretty much believe like the exact opposite of what I kind of grew up believing now, but but it was at the time it was like they were, I would listen to them like a ton, and I was a big fans of them, and they were, I mean, it was pretty much even like it was just like positive, I guess. Like, I don't even know if, I mean, like they are Christians, but like, and some of their music would say like God and, stuff like that. But like, but it was just like, I guess, like you could say positive hip hop, I guess. So
it's hard to call it Christian rap. I mean, because I think like I let my wife hear Lecrae and she's like, this is Christian music? But yeah, no, that's cool, man. That's that's a great story. So you said you found out about iStandard, and that helped you get back on track by networking, getting your music heard. What do you suggest for people that are going through this, that had to move back to their city? Do you suggest joining Beat Battles or joining iStandard, or, I mean, kind of the same route you took, or is there something different that you think that people should do?
Yeah, I mean, I think I mean, for me, that definitely helped. I mean, I think just like, you know, there's a producer named the Kraken who, you know,
Nice.
he basically told me about iStandard, and he like told me about the showcases and stuff like that. But honestly, I think even more important than that, which is something that I've more been trying to learn now, is just being being content with where you're at. I think more than any particular like thing to do is like having a good mental space. I'm realizing is like super key. And you know, because I mean, even like recently, you know, I've like, even now I've just like really just recently moved out to LA, and I'm trying to figure out how to make moves and stuff like that, and a lot of things that I was doing I'm not doing, and kind of figuring out what I'm gonna do. And it's kind of like I went, you know, for a while I just like stopped making music for 2 months, like a couple months ago, and just because I was like so like bogged down, and I was like eventually had to come back to the mindset of like, you know, why do I do this? Like I do this because it's fun, right? Like
Right.
you know, I'm like pressuring myself so much to like make all these moves, make connections, and when it doesn't happen, then it's like, you know, I'm like getting down on myself and whatever. But it's like, you know, the whole purpose, like the reason I make music is to have fun, you know?
Yep.
Like it's the whole reason I moved out to LA is to try to have fun doing music, you know? Like I want to have fun for the rest of my life. So I think as far as like if people have to move back home, or like if people are going through a setback or whatever, I think one of the hardest things, but I think one of the most crucial things, is to realize, I guess, why you do music. And for me, like pretty much like the exact thing that I had to do was like, and even more recently been having to do, is realize that I like creating music, and I want to create music, and I will create music whether I become famous or not.
Nice.
And whether I am heard by people or not, because I love it, and that's what I like to do. And so, you know, the last couple months now, like, you know, it was like kind of like March, April were like really bad months for me. And but ever since the last 2 months, like May, June, I've been really like, I've been in a good headspace with that, and it's helped me just be like happier making music. And I'm like not trying to make something that I feel like someone else would like. I'm just trying to make music that I would like, you know?
Right.
And I feel like that's been really crucial for me, just like, you know, just enjoying like my own life, you know, realizing like, you know what, I'm gonna make what I want to make, because like at the end of the day, I'm doing this because I think this is fun. And whether or not I get famous, like, I mean, obviously it would be nice to be famous, but even if I'm never producing for, you know, big ass artists or whatever, like I'm still gonna enjoy the music that I make. And I've been becoming a lot more content in that, and I feel like that's really crucial for like if someone goes through a setback, like just, you know, almost really going back to the very basics of like, you know what, it's okay, like everyone goes through failures, everyone goes through hard times, and it's ultimately how you get out of that, you know, and how you're gonna respond to that makes the difference, you know.
Nice.
Because I could have just responded to it and been like, man, I'm just upset, and like this is never gonna work out, and I quit music, or I'm just gonna, you know, whatever it may be. But, you know, it was like, all right, well, I'm a, you know, maybe relax a little bit and take a break. Like I took a little break, a couple months, and I was just like, all right, I'm gonna, you know, go do some things. Like I went, you know, and just hung out with some different people and had some fun, and went to, you know, do some different things, just go have fun outside in the, you know, world. And then and then it's just like, I don't know, it just helps, you know.
Yeah, man.
So I think that stuff's important.
Just just kind of hitting that reset button, you know, and just you know, nothing's wrong with stepping away for a little bit, you know, as long as you don't step away too long to where it becomes almost forever, you know. But it's definitely important to just try to do other things, you know. I mean, we're humans, we're not machines that are built just to make music all the time. I mean, there's other things in life as well that you have to take advantage of and you have to experience. So that's good for you, man. That sounds like you really, really needed that reset. So
I think it's interesting because I see a lot of people say, like, always working and like, no sleep and stuff like that, and like I feel like I feel like I'm almost like coming to just like disagree with it a little bit. Like, I mean, I definitely like hard work. Like, you definitely do have to work hard, and I certainly do work hard, and like, I put a lot of hours into my craft and everything. But I think balance is really key, and I think that's not a thing that's stressed enough.
Yep, no doubt. I mean, former Beats Grinding Life guest on here, Chris Cars, was saying he's not a part of Team No Sleep, and he made that very known, and you definitely need your sleep for many health benefits, and I feel the same way. I'm definitely on Team Sleep, and so definitely got to take care of yourself, because if you don't feel right, it's going to come out in your music. And so you just want to feel as the best that you can when you're making your music. I feel that's my outlook on it. I'm not sure how other people feel about that, but you definitely got to take into account your mental health and physical health.
Yep.
Well, thank you for sharing that, man. That's something that we definitely don't talk about enough in the producer community. I think we're starting to shed light on it a little bit with as far as like the mental health thing, and like you were saying, being in a good headspace and all that. But it's just not we don't talk about it enough. So thank you for shedding some light on that.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, man. Well, we can definitely hop out of this dark area. Talking about setbacks and failures, man. I felt like it got a little dark for a minute, but so I want to know what would you consider the best moment in your career thus far, or your greatest achievement?
Ooh, my greatest achievement. Man, I would say let's see, let me think. I think my greatest achievement, I think to an extent, is even just like being where I'm at. I think like I mean, even like I feel like even though I'm still a relatively unknown producer and stuff like that, but like even just the little things that I've been able to accomplish, and like the like even like House of Beats, or like getting a few different placements here and there, like I think I don't necessarily look at any like one of those per se as being like my biggest achievement, but I think that looking at all of them kind of has been, I don't know, it's just kind of like cool to see. Oh, another thing actually was I was just at South by Southwest and like a couple months ago, and a couple people actually recognized me, and like people that I didn't know. Right. And celebrity status. So that was kind of like, I feel like that really made it like set in a little bit. It was like, this person just asked if I was Egomi. Like, that's kind of wild, you know? And I've, they were probably people who maybe watched House of Beats or watched some battle that I did or something. But, it was like from a city that I'm not from, and like it was just it was to be surreal. That was definitely that was pretty wild. I feel like that's probably one of those things. It's like, wow, man, I didn't realize I've been it's cool to realize that you've done something that you're actually noticed for. It's like, wow, that's dope.
Yeah, that is dope, man. That's very dope. Well, I guess so what you're saying is just an accumulation of everything. Your career thus far is your biggest achievement. That's pretty dope, man. I mean, hey, man, pretty soon you won't even be able to go shopping or go to Starbucks without people knowing who you are. You're going to be on Kanye level.
Goals. Exactly.
But that's what's up, man. That's cool, man. I know. I think. Yeah, I first heard of you on House of Beats, and I'm glad I was able to witness that, man. That you killed it, and no disrespect to any other producers that were on there, because all those producers were definitely great at what they do. Man, but
for sure,
you definitely killed it, man, and it was great to watch you on there.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. How did that all come about? How'd you find out about House of Beats, and what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, that was actually it's actually a funny story how I even got onto it. My buddy actually, he's also a producer. His name is Monte. Goes by Get You Monte. He was actually supposed to be in it, and he had to back out. And so he hit me up, and he was like, it was like super last minute. He was like, hey, I'm doing this thing. It's with Jay Rhodes. It's, this thing called House of Beats. And he was like, but I'm not going to be able to make it. Like, can you take my place?
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, sure. And I didn't know anything. I actually didn't even realize it was like a thing that we were going to be like filming, and so I just showed up kind of clueless as to what it was gonna be, and then all of a sudden, like, I show up and there's cameras, and it's like, do an interview, and I'm like, shoot, I didn't even like dress good, So I'm just like wearing this like weird striped shirt and like whatever, because I had no clue what to expect, and so. Yeah, so that's kind of how I got onto it.
Wow, man, that's nuts. And now I'm gonna rewatch it, just knowing all that. That's crazy. Well, man, here on Beats Gvng Life, we're all striving for greatness, and they say the best way to be great at what you do is to pick someone, find out what they do in a typical day, and just emulate them. And so I want to know, what do you do in a typical day? I know that things are probably different from you since you're trying to since you just moved and you're trying to find your way in a new city. But what do you do in a typical day? That way, maybe we can take what you're doing and apply it to what we're doing.
Yeah. Typically, I usually it depends if I work or not, because I currently work from home, so which is nice, and allows me to choose my schedule.
That's awesome.
Which that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But there's also there are some downsides to it. But so if I have to work, I'll generally work first. Just as like I wake up and I'll get ready for the day, and then I'll start working, and I work as much as I need to for the day. And then once I'm finished working, then I'm a pretty like I'm kind of a list guy. Like, I like keeping lists and stuff like that. So a lot of times I'll keep a list of like, here's the things I have to do, like musically, so like, for example, like, I'm putting out a beat tape next month. So it's like, figure out how to get on Spotify playlists and figure out. So I like have this list like right in front of me that's like, okay, here's the things I need to do. I also need to record vocals for this thing and produce this thing. So then usually once I get done with work, I'll just look at that list and figure out what would be the best thing for me to do right now, and then what is the highest priority thing that I should be doing, and then I do that. And if I don't have to work on that day, then I essentially do that at the beginning of the day, and then pretty much just do music all day if I don't have to work.
Typically, what time are you done working?
Usually if I wait, I'll usually wake up probably sometime around 8 to 9. Probably don't start work till 10.
Okay.
And then I generally, it really honestly depends how much work I have, just because it's contract work, so it's different like every time. But I'll usually get done like usually sometime between like 4 or 6, or some days I have to work all day and then I don't really have time to work on music, so then I might not get done with work till like 10 at night or 8 or sometimes midnight. But other days I might work for 3 hours. I might get done at 1 in the afternoon, and then and then I have my entire day essentially to create music.
Nice.
So
that's dope, man. Is it possible for you to work remotely?
It is. Yep.
That's dope. So you could travel, and is it even possible to travel for music and still get your work done?
Yeah, it is actually.
That's awesome.
Yeah, which is I'm very lucky, I feel like, and grateful for this job for sure. Because I'm actually even I'm going to this summer. I'm going to Australia for a whole entire month.
Wow.
And I definitely would not be able to do that if it weren't for my job being able to, because I can't take off for a whole month, obviously,
Right.
but because I can work from anywhere, I can still do my job from anywhere. So
That's dope.
yeah, so I feel extremely grateful for the job that I have.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, thank you for sharing your day. Hopefully, there's something in there that we can definitely take away and apply it to what we're doing.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, this next portion we like to call in the studio. We can't be in the studio with you making beats. We would love to, maybe one day, but not today. So the best thing is this segment where we get to find out what you do in the studio, how you do it, and what you do it with. So, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, man. What's the first thing that you do when you start crafting beats?
The very first thing, I actually start with, I'll usually think of the idea of what I want in my head first.
Mm-hmm.
I have tried a lot to just like make beats without an idea, and most of the time my beats don't turn out that good. So a lot of times I'll think of a melody in my head or think of a drum pattern in my head, and then I will approach my DAW and create it, essentially.
Nice, man.
So,
that's what's up, man. I know I saw that battle with Lucy Clubhouse in S1. He asked you, like, where did you even start? How do you start making that kind of beat? So that's cool that we get to find out. At least it starts with an idea and you just attack that idea.
Yeah, with those battle beats especially, normally I think through what I'm gonna do for the entire battle beat before I even start on it.
Wow.
So I'll pretty much think of it and think like, okay, I'll have a build up here, and I'll even time it, and I'll go, oh, okay, that came out to be a minute, and then I'll start creating it. So a lot of times the idea is very, very important for me.
Wow, nice, man. So you definitely approach the battle beats differently than you do something that you would do for an album or for even a beat CD.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes it's the same, but yeah.
Okay. Your beat CDs, would it be kind of the same just to keep the audience's interest, since there is no vocals over it, or as far as like a artist over it, or?
Yeah, so the beat tapes that I'm putting out, right now I'm putting out my first one, but I'd like to put out 3 or 4. But they're not as wild, I would say, as the battle beats.
Right.
They're full length, so they're like 3 to 4 minutes long. And they're just beats, but I did put a lot of time and care to make them interesting and to make them not just standard beat.
Right.
I did want to make it to where, okay, there's no artist on this. How do I keep it interesting for 3 to 4 minutes? So, nice. And I think I've been able to do that without making it too crazy, Yeah. So.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to peep it, man. Can't wait to hear it. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what's a not so secret weapon that you have in the studio?
Not so secret weapon. I would definitely say my guitars and bass. So I feel like my guitars and my bass and everything are like, whenever I come to a point where I'm like, I don't know what to do on this beat, I just grab one of my guitars or I grab bass and I play around with it, and a lot of times I'll make sounds with the guitar that maybe don't even necessarily sound like a guitar, right, or something like that. And it's just like, I feel like that's been my secret weapon to just like get me out of my headspace, because it's really hard when you're just flipping through sounds with your mouse or with your drum pad or whatever. And like for me, it's really it's easy to let creativity flow when I have like a guitar in my hands, or something, because it helps me just like screw around with ideas until I find something.
Right. That's dope. Going back to your roots. That's awesome. Okay. All right. So what all do you have in your studio? What equipment or software do you have in your arsenal at the moment?
So I use Cubase.
Mm-hmm.
So that is my DAW of choice. We'll see if it remains my DAW of choice for much longer. But it is currently my DAW of choice.
Okay.
And I use FabFilter plugins, which
Nice.
I think everyone should own. So
Mm-hmm.
they're super top-notch plugins. I own all of the Mixmaster plugins.
Nice.
And I think every producer should own them. I stand by them like 100%. I also recently got Sound Toys plugins,
Nice.
which are very high quality plugins. They're decently expensive, but I got it was like a Black Friday sale or something to where it was, super cheap.
Cool.
And then I use Native Instruments stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think some of my favorite sounds come from Native Instruments, some of my favorite synths, as well as this one plugin I use in particular on drums. It's a compressor called Supercharger GT,
Mm-hmm.
which I feel like is my super secret weapon on drums. I've had a lot of people ask me how do you make your drums hit really hard and whatever. And that plugin in particular, the Supercharger GT by Native Instruments, is that's my weapon. I put that on everything drum related, and it just it makes my drums so much better. It makes them pop more and everything.
Nice. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah. Let's see, what esse do I use? I use Pad Shop is a synth that comes with Cubase, but you can also buy it separately if you use a different DAW.
Okay.
And Pad Shop is my melodic secret weapon. So that's what I use for making a lot of the sounds that I use. I probably have multiple instances of Pad Shop in every one of my beats and every song. So
Nice.
yeah, I think those for sure.
Okay. That's what's up. Do you have any hardware as far as a beat machine goes, or a keyboard, or are you just all within the box and or just using software?
I have MIDI controllers, so I have the Native Instruments Machine drum pad,
Nice.
which it is a piece of hardware, but it doesn't really have actual analog circuitry sounds in it. It's just programming. And same with a keyboard. I do have a MIDI keyboard, but it doesn't have sounds on it. So pretty much as of right now, all of my sounds are in the box, even though I do have controllers for them.
Okay. Nice. That's what's up, man. Well, thank you for sharing everything that you did. You even gave us some secrets that we can definitely try to apply to our own music. I appreciate that, because you really didn't have to let those out the box, man, but you did. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. And Beat Grinders, if there's anything that Egomi mentioned that you guys want to check out, definitely go to beatsgrindinglife.com under his show notes, and I'll definitely provide a link for everything that he just mentioned. So all right, this next portion is called In the Mix. We're just going to speed things up a little bit. I'm going to ask you some quick questions. You respond back with a quick answer. But if you need to take your time and elaborate on any of these questions, please feel free. We encourage it. So, you ready to go?
Let's do it.
All right, man. Do you prefer using samples or making beats without samples?
I do not use samples.
Okay. I gotta ask you, on House of Beats, what was that, a sample, the I Love You, or?
That was actually a sample, and that's one of the few I've maybe sampled making a beat 5 times.
Wow.
And I think 2 of them on House of Beats. I know I did the Alicia Keys one as well.
That as well. Yeah, wow.
But pretty much other than that, I really rarely use samples.
Okay. That's crazy, man. For only making 5 samples, both those were pretty damn dope. So,
appreciate it.
Wow, good job, man. That's awesome. All right, what's your opinion on selling and leasing beats online?
I mean, I think it's a good idea if you can make money off of it. I've thought about it, but I don't do it right now. But I mean, if you can make good money off of it, then I don't see why not.
Okay. What's a plugin that you feel every producer should have in their arsenal?
FabFilter plugins.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna go there. Do you have a book that you think every producer should read, and it doesn't have to be music related?
Every producer should read. I don't know about a good producer or music related book other than like the All You Need to Know About the Music Business by I think Donald Passman or something. I know that's a pretty famous book. I recently read a good fiction book though.
Nice.
Called Dark Sight by Patrick Lee, which I think is a really it was a really suspenseful book if people are into suspenseful fiction books, but
Nice.
other than that, nothing comes to my mind.
Okay. Well, thank you for the recommendation. I'll definitely have to check that out. If you recommend it, then I'll definitely check it out.
For sure.
All right. Is there an internet resource that you use that you think every producer could benefit from using? And when I say internet resource, I mean like a website, maybe like Who Sampled, or iStandard.com, or maybe a mobile app, maybe like Google Calendar.
I have, let's see, one thing that's really helped me as a producer is, and this is more knowledge information based, but there is a website called it's either Pro Audio Files or The Pro Audio Files. I think it might be theproaudiofiles.com.
Okay.
And it has lots and lots and lots of tutorials and YouTube tutorials. It is theproaudiofiles.com.
Okay.
And they have tons of tutorials on mixing and mastering and recording and producing and stuff like that, and they're very smart. I've learned tons about mixing from just watching those YouTube videos on that website and reading their blogs. They have a lot of blogs from from engineers who are really who are very talented,
right.
And even though there are some things that you have to pay for, they have tons of free material, and I've really never paid for anything, but I've used lots of their free material, and I think that has helped me immensely when it comes to mixing and just really opening up my mind to different techniques and things like that.
Okay. Wow, I'll definitely check that out. Beat Grinders, you guys do the same, just because I know for a fact I've seen Egomi get lots of compliments on his mixing. So if he's using this as a resource and he's getting compliments from top-notch people like Jay Rhodes, or I'm not sure, but I think S1 complimented you on your mixing. But if he's getting compliments from these guys and he's using this as a resource, then we need to be doing the same thing. So thank you for sharing that, man.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, we're just going to slow it down a little bit again, and I want you to tell me, what was your first placement? And if you can describe that placement or that feeling that you got when you got that placement, man, that'd be great, because there's people out there listening that are trying to get that first placement, and maybe your story will inspire just a little more.
Yeah, I mean, my first placement was I got a beat onto one of XXL's their 20th anniversary videos, where they kind of did little specials on different artists, and the first one I got was on Lil Uzi Vert. They did a video on him, and the video opens up with my beat, which is which was really cool.
Yeah.
And it was like their 20th anniversary video, so it was kind of it was just a really cool thing,
nice.
getting my beat onto there. So that was my first placement.
Yeah, that's awesome right there, man. I mean, to open it up with you, and that sounds like a wonderful feeling right there, man, and sounds wow, like everything that you've done leading up to that moment is definitely paid off. So that's what's up.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, what's your favorite song you ever produced?
Trying to think. Actually, I would say probably quite a few of my favorite songs I've produced are still yet to be released.
That's fine.
I'll probably release them later this year, but I think some of my favorite one of my favorite ones that I have released is it's this record by Terrence Spectacle, which I produced it, and it's a song called It's a song called "In the Mood" by Terrence Spectacle, and it's super catchy. I loved creating the music for it, and just producing the record. It's really I got to do a bunch of creative things on it, and as an artist, he was really down with me just trying a bunch of different things. So
nice.
I did a bunch of not ordinary things in the track, and it turned out really dope.
Okay. Wow. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to hearing that. Beat Grinders, you guys be on the lookout for that Terrence Spectacle, "In the Mood," or
Yep.
The Mood. Okay. Yep. "In the Mood." So, all right. What's an album besides one that you worked on that you recommend every producer listen to, and why?
I think a really dope album that came out not too long ago is by this artist named Leon Bridges, and he's a singer, but the album is called Good Thing, and the soundscape in it and like the instrumentation and the way that they created the music, to me, was like mind blowing just listening through it all. And it's very different, but I think that the level of genius to me that it took in order to create the songs is, it's mind blowing to me. I'm like, it's one of those things where I listen to it and I'm like, I wish I could have created something like that,
Right.
It's just like so good, and I'm just listening to it like, what in the world? Like, there's just songs that are, it's like everything is tasteful. Like all the music and all the instrumentation they use is very tasteful, but it's just brilliant. So
nice.
I would definitely say that album.
Okay. Well, I have never heard of Leon Bridges, and I've never heard of that album. So I look forward to hearing it. It sounds like you have
definitely check it
very
out.
Eclectic taste. Yeah, I will, man. Sounds like you're diversified in the music that you listen to. So I'm definitely looking forward to checking this one out. And Beat Grinders, you guys, if you want to check it out, I'll definitely provide a link under the show notes, so you guys go to the website and check that out. So all right, man. Well, I want you to imagine right now that you have a hammer in one hand and a pick in the other. I'm gonna take you up to Mount Rushmore, and we're gonna take all the faces down off of there. No more presidents. We're gonna put producers on there. Who is Egomi putting up on Mount Rushmore? 4 faces.
Man, Quincy Jones.
Nice.
Pharrell.
Nice.
Dr. Dre.
Okay.
And Timbaland.
Wow. Okay. Nice. Those are 4 names that we're used to hearing on here for good reason. They're all legendary producers, and they need to be up on there. I'm actually a little shocked. I'm surprised because when I hear your music, I don't really hear all those guys. And so, but hey, I don't blame you for putting those guys up there. They all need to be up on probably all of our Mount Rushmore. So that's dope right there. So, all right, man. Well, I want you to imagine you just woke up from a dream, and in that dream, you had the perfect studio session. The perfect studio session included 1 artist, 1 producer to go along with yourself, 1 engineer, and 1 random person. Who are these 4 people going to be that make up your perfect studio session?
All right, let's see. Dream artist. Shoot. I would say the first one that comes to mind would probably, believe it or not, would probably be Justin Bieber. But
okay.
Close second might be Chance the Rapper.
Wow.
So I would say, I feel like Chance just seems like a fun person to be around. I feel like I would say him. Dream producer, this guy named Jack Antonoff. He's like produced a lot of current pop hits, and produced produced tons and tons of music that it's like every time I look up the credits, it's like produced by Jack Antonoff. I'm like, who is this dude? But him. Engineer is a guy named Serb Engineer. He is my favorite engineer, and I've been, just like I've studied his mixing just for hours and hours and days and days. Nice. He is a brilliant mix engineer. Let's see. One random person. Maybe like my roommate, or maybe like a Bounce Gvng member. Probably like one of my close friends. Maybe even like my buddy AJ, maybe, who does a lot of my video stuff. Probably him.
Nice, man. Nice. Well, that does sound like a perfect studio session. All those people are, it sounds like they're sounds like you look up to a lot of those people, or you're really close to those people. So, I love it just for the fact that, it's going to make me do some research, because a lot of these people I've never heard of, like Jack Antonoff, or did you say his name is Serben Engineer?
Mm-hmm. SERBEN, or no, BAN, I think. Serben, and then Genia is like GHENEA, I believe.
Okay. Nice. Well, I'm definitely gonna look up these people and try to listen to their music and see what they're all about, and see why you like them so much. So, and then you said either AJ, your roommate, or a Bounce Gvng member. That's going to be a tough call right there.
But
that's dope, man. And then how could I forget either Justin Bieber or Chance the Rapper? But man, sounds like you guys will create some pretty fire-ish right there. And yeah, man, it sounds like you probably have to have AJ in there just to document everything.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Nice, man. Okay. Well, this is another crazy question. I want you to imagine that you woke up again, but this time you're on a totally different planet, identical to Earth though. So, and all you have is the clothes on your back, your knowledge that you've gained over all the years of working on music since you were 6 years old, $1,000 in your pocket. What are you gonna do in the next week to restart your career?
Probably find a job.
Okay.
So I can start making more money. Mm-hmm. Save up as fast as I can for a laptop.
Nice.
And then figure out how to get all the software that I had and download it. And then I would, but that first $1,000 would probably be purchasing food to help me survive and until I can get that job. So that's probably what I would end up doing.
Okay, nice. So I like this answer. Just because a lot of people, I feel like I said you have a week, and what would you do in the next week to restart your career? But I think a lot of people are thinking, I have to restart my career in a week, and so they say I'll buy, the cheapest laptop I can get, and then I'll buy this, I'll buy that. But, it's not really a rush, you're just, but I like what you're saying. You're going to get a job and kind of take the long-term approach, save up as much as you can and restart that way. The reason why I asked this question is because there are people listening that want to become producers, and they don't have very much money, and they're trying to figure out how can they get started. And I think that your answer can definitely lead people on the right path. It's just you don't got to be in a rush you don't have to be in a rush to buy a computer or anything, because you definitely do get what you pay for. So if you get something cheap for $200-300, it may not last very long. So you probably do want to save up and try to get something good and worthwhile. So
yeah,
so
definitely.
Thank you for that, man. Really appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I want to know when it's all said and done, and when this music thing is over for you, which probably won't be for a very, very, very long time, what do you want your legacy to be? And what does legacy mean to you?
Wow, good question. Damn. I think, let's see. Honestly, I would love for the world to be a better place. I feel like everyone has that dream when they're younger.
Right.
Like making a difference or whatever. And I feel like it's, as I get older, it's easier to get more jaded, by the world and be like, the world's just a bad place and you can never fix it. But, to an extent, I think that's true. But I think I would like to hopefully change people in a positive way. Hopefully make people, realize they can be nice. And I know that especially in the music industry, there's a lot of mean people, and there's a lot of people who take advantage of people. And I just want my legacy to be something where it's like, Egomi does business right.
Nice.
He pays people on time. He doesn't try to cut corners. He works to the best of his ability, and I can trust him. I want that to be my legacy, and I want other people to be able to see that. And if I'm ever able to get to a point where I'm like, a really famous producer or something like that, I want to be able to inspire other people to be like that too. Just to, I don't know, just handle business right.
Right. Awesome, man. Awesome. That's a dope answer right there, man. They say if you want to change, you have to be the change, and so it all starts with yourself. You want to make not only the world better, the music industry better, and so instead of just trying to go out and change other people, tell other people how they need to be living, you just do it yourself, provide that example, and maybe others will follow your example. So that's what's up, man. And I know that you're probably living by that now and living out your legacy at this moment, man. And so that's dope, man. That's dope. Thank you for that answer.
Yeah.
What's the greatest piece of advice that you've received in this game? And I know that you've received a lot of good advice because you've rubbed shoulders with some big people in this industry. And then what advice would you have for all the producers listening today?
Yeah, I would say, well, first, the biggest piece of advice I got was actually from my buddy. He's a producer as well. His name is On Beat Music. That's his producer name. But we're really good friends, and he told me to get better at making drums, or have better drums. He just told me that my drums weren't good, and I mean, he said it in a nice way, and he's a friend of mine, so he can, say things like that. And, my first initial reaction was to be like, what? Like, my drums are fine. But after that, like, I started working on my drums, and when I go back and listen to my drums, how they were a couple years ago versus how they are now after he told me I need to work on them, I mean, it's like a huge night and day difference. And it honestly, it's really, I mean, drums are the reason that people, I feel like a beat. Like you could have a weak melody, but if your drums are just knocking and they're hard, people are gonna be like, that's dope. So I think that was definitely my that made a world of difference for me. I would say, giving advice to other people though, I think kind of like how I said earlier, like, just have fun. I think just have fun, because it is, especially for me, like, it's really easy to like get caught up in like, oh, I gotta do this and I gotta make this move and I gotta like say this thing, and then like I get burnt out because like I try all these things and then like it doesn't work out, and I send 100 emails and like 2 people respond and whatever, and it's like it's definitely like, I feel like this, like, the music game can be a really discouraging one. And so I think that's the reason why I say, like, just have fun and know like why you're doing it,
Nice.
Like, if you're, if the original reason you wanted to do music for a living is because you enjoy making music, then like just enjoy making music, and then everything after that is like is just an extra, it's a blessing. I think right now I have a good job and I love making music, and if I were to never ever go anywhere beyond where I'm at, and I always had to work a day job or always had to work the job I'm working and just make music for fun, then I think I would still be content, because I love making music.
Nice.
So I think my advice is just to like really realize why you're doing music, and then just be content with where you're at, if you can be, hopefully you can be content with where you're at, and just like just have fun with it. I feel like that's the biggest advice I could give.
All right. Wow, man. Well, that's great advice right there, man. Just remember why you did it, and you'll well, I won't say never be disappointed, but it curbs that disappointment just a little bit, and like you said, anything extra that happens, it's just the cherry on top. You're doing it for fun anyway, so that's awesome. When did On the Beat tell you that your drums were lacking?
He told me this probably 2 years ago.
Okay.
So it was probably maybe a year and a half. It was probably close to 2 years, I think.
Okay. Because I saw that he judged that battle that you were in at A3C. And so, wow. That's awesome, man. Somebody tell you something, and then, you know, instead of you getting butthurt about it and saying, F that, my drums are fine, you know, you definitely took his advice and you changed up for the better, man. And you're reaping the benefits because of that. Definitely setting your ego to the side, you know. So
yeah, definitely.
Someone said that Dr. Dre told him, you know, your ego is not your amigo. I think it was Focus. So that's what's up.
That's a dope line.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, man. Well, I want to thank you for everything that you contributed to this episode, and everything that you contributed to the Beats Grinding Life community, and everything that you contributed to the producer community, man. You know, you definitely left us with some great knowledge bombs. Definitely gave us some words of advice that we can put in our pocket, take with us forever, man, and definitely gave us some tips that we can definitely use. So thank you for all of it, man.
Man, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no doubt. Thank you for being an inspiration, man, to not only myself but all the people listening. And just keep doing what you're doing, man, because you're inspiring me, and I'm definitely looking at your moves and definitely trying to follow you. And
wow, I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. All right, man. If you have any more words for the listeners, if you want to let them know what you're working on, what they need to be listening out for, and what they need to be listening to that you've already put out, man, that'd be great. Oh, and how to contact you if you want to be contacted.
Okay, sweet. So contact me through Instagram. I'm at Egomi Music, or you can contact me through anywhere. All my socials is at Egomi Music, EGOMI Music. No underscore, no space, nothing. July 19th, the Jaded Beat Volume 1 drops, which is a 5-track beat tape.
Nice.
August, I'm dropping a single with some songwriters. And then September, October, I'm going to be dropping a single, and then a project with another songwriter artist. And then November, hopefully dropping another beat tape, Jaded Beat Volume 2. So lots of music coming soon. Super excited for it all.
Yeah. So are we, man. So are we. Definitely excited to hear what you got and what you got in the vault. And yeah, man, thank you. That's dope right there. Beat Grinders, definitely go check Egomi out. He's doing some big things. So thank you, Egomi, once again for coming on the show. Really appreciate you, man.
Man, thank you.
Yeah, and thank you, Beat Grinders, for listening to another episode of Beats Grinding Life. If you guys found the show of any value, I'm pretty sure that you did, because Egomi came on here and laced us. Definitely hit him up and let him know what kind of impact he made on you guys, and hit me up and let me know as well. You guys can definitely take a screenshot of this episode now, post it on Instagram, on Insta Stories, or whatever social media account you would like. Tag me, tag Egomi. Yeah, and be sure to rate and review this podcast on iTunes or any other platform that you're listening to it on. And you guys know how it goes. You've been mentored by another dope producer. This time you've been mentored by Egomi. Keep making beats, stay on your grind, and live life. All right, peace, y'all.
Here at Beats Grinding Life, we want to thank you for listening to another episode. We want to know, what were your biggest takeaways from this interview? Just go to beatsgrindinglife.com and leave a comment on this episode's show notes page. Also, while you are there, go subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. Just click the little button that says subscribe. If you could, please leave a rating and review. Rating and reviews are the best way to show your appreciation, because it helps more people find out about the podcast. So until next week's episode, keep grinding.